Hey everybody, this is Aaron with Lasting Impressions Coffee. I wanted to welcome you back to another installment of the I Know Fighter series where we explore what it's like to live with neurofibromatosis as a young adult. NF is a genetic condition which affects the nervous system and can lead to tumor growth along the nerves throughout the body, but beyond the clinical definition, it's something that can shape identity, perspective, and daily life in very real ways. Today I'm joined by one of my friends from the Children's Tumor Foundation Junior Board, Aaron Baum. His unique perspective and background gives him a little insight into both the science and the body and the realities of the physical change. Aaron, do you want to give a brief introduction to yourself before we step into this?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Aaron Baum, like Aaron said, and I'm 39, live in San Francisco, California. Have NF1 that was a spontaneous case, and I work in the kind of medical area. I used to work as an athletic trainer and now work with prosthetics and orthotics. Outside that, just huge sports fan and real passionate about photography as well.
Nice, yeah. No, yeah, photography is pretty. I took one class with that while I was in middle school, and it was probably my not middle school, high school, and it was probably my favorite elective that I took. Ball fan, I appreciate you stepping away from the NFL draft, and you're a Packers fan, right?
Yeah, diehard Packer fan. It's in the blood. My dad grew up in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin, so that's how that kind of originated.
Yeah. My dad lived up in Milwaukee briefly back in I guess it was late '80s. I think it was. He was there when they won the World Series. I remember him telling me that. So I know that's
nice.
at least around then. But we're Bears fans though. So. But
okay. Yeah, we still can get along though, despite the rivalry.
I'm excited for you guys though. You guys got Brandon Cisse and that's my boy from South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how do you feel about them picking him up?
I'm excited. I think that was an area of need for sure at the cornerback position. So having somebody that likes to get man press coverage and athletic body, so I think he's going to be good and fit right in.
No, yeah, especially with what the NFC North seems like they're producing nowadays. It's no longer a ground division. They've all kind of evolved a little bit finally, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has a big wide receiver threat now, so need the DBs to step up.
No, yeah, that's exciting. But yeah, getting drafted into the NFL, it's pretty polarizing, and so is getting diagnosed spontaneously with a genetic condition. So when exactly did you find out that you had NF, or I guess come to understand what NF was for you?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing because it happened different stages, I would say. There was something from the earliest signs for me was both kind of vision, needing glasses since I was 3, kind of a leg length discrepancy that required having a lift put on my shoes and also 2 different sizes. And then learning differences were the 3 things that first kind of accumulated. But I kind of just knew it as I know I have something that has caused me to have a leg length discrepancy, but didn't fully understand NF probably till, I was a teenager, where I saw it kind of more, I think, just taking on roles in my life that, needing to start being self-advocating.
So you got impacted pretty much through a couple different ways. So you said you had a leg length and your foot length was both 2 different sizes, so you had 2 different size shoes as well?
Yeah, 2 different size shoes. And Nike Town and Nordstrom's only 2 places that would split sizes and have it be able to buy 1 pair of shoes.
They would do that for you?
That's
sweet. That's awesome. I didn't think places would be willing to do that. When you said that, that's pretty cool. Good for them. I'm glad they were able to handle that that way. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and again, huge support from my parents, obviously, when I was younger, helping me kind of navigate that.
That's cool. And you said that you had some learning disability. So did you do the IEPs and the 504s and all of that?
Yeah.
Were you part of those conversations?
Not as much. So I went to the IEPs I did when I went into high school, because I did go to a charter high school. Before that, I was in private school, and but still had tutors and needing to get extra time for exams and sometimes a note taker for my because I had some fine motor things too.
Yeah.
So
So I had some similar adaptations for myself too when I was growing up. I was just thinking, 'cause that's very similar to like the conversations you would have with your like HR person when you go into like a job. So that's
yeah,
like something that if you can get like if you're at this point younger and you can do that, that would be cool. It'd be good practice just to sit in there and like listen to like to see what it's like. But no, yeah, kind of
yeah.
that's more what I was
So
curious.
no, that's I
Yeah.
agree. So yeah, those were kind of the first things that kind of came up with NF. And like I said, when I then got into my teen years, I think I got to a little bit more understanding or more conversations of really what NF involved and entailed as a whole. It was around that time that plexiform neurofibromas were detected too. So
So it was that causing probably your biggest issue was with the plexiform neurofibromas then?
yeah, so that became there was scoliosis that got found out a little later than normal. So that was a adventure to say the least. But the plexiforms became the prominent one, especially in that left leg. That's the longer, larger one.
That's insane. Yeah. So did that change? I guess you were younger. Did it change your perception on life at that age, or
Um,
do you think
I
it had an
think that
impact on it?
I think it definitely had an impact in both. I think understanding or having uh, or at least it gave you a tenacity and a grit early on that of trying to overcome things. Um, and I would say that there more in my younger years, there was kind of sometimes a why me type thing that I think is a normal
Yeah.
experience to go through, you know? Um, and then just trying to figure out ways of kind of still understanding and try to gain more perspective on life in general, and that you still had the support. I still had support and was very fortunate in a lot of other ways, and just I think that was always keeping that in mind.
Yeah, having a strong sense of support, especially with some stuff that people or something that aren't very familiar with, and that a lot of people don't know about, even though NF is so very common, right?
I
Like
know.
it's insane. Like 1 in 3,000 people, like really is not a lot of people at all to think about. Or
Yeah,
is a lot of people. It's not like a small percentage. Like what I'm trying to say. Like I think it's
yeah,
120 people are born with NF every day, which is crazy to
every
think
yeah,
about throughout the world. And that's just like what we like know about. And there's huge populations that
yeah,
are undiagnosed and
right.
undertreated. So if like I was someone who just was hearing about NF for the first time, how would you explain it to me?
Yeah, I think it's sometimes so hard to explain, even as common as it is, the vast ways that it can affect each individual. So I think that you try to just kind of say can become a genetic condition or disease, and that it affects the nervous system where tumors can grow anywhere in the nerve sheaths or in the body. And so I start there, and then if they kind of ask in more detail about things, then you try to go from there. But I think that's kind of the foundation line that I try to give.
Yeah. So is there something that if you like you said the most important thing if you want to say like for them to understand if you could pick like one thing for them to understand about what separates NF from another condition.
Yeah, I think that one of how like I just mentioned, how varying it can be for each individual, and
Yeah.
that there isn't like it doesn't stay the same, right? Like that's I think the other thing that this is an evolving condition where
Yeah.
things can get worse or something new can pop up as we all age and get older with it.
Right.
So those are
Yeah.
the two to remind people that it's not contagious.
Right. Yeah.
I,
That's a huge thing that
you
people
know,
like look at when they see people like with these strange or what they want to call like abnormalities that they
you're right,
might get sick from just being around them, and it's
right.
it's upsetting for us to feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, again, I feel, I don't have as many of like the cutaneous neurofibromas or the bumps and, on the face. So I can only imagine the, hard that is of that they go through, the individuals that go through with that.
Yeah, I know that it's I see some posts on Facebook and it's pretty heartbreaking and to read them because I know how they feel and I can
Yeah.
understand that. But I think you brought up a good point, like how varying it can be. Like we saw, like with Jesse, like the first week he also has a different length. I think he said he has different sutiasis he has to wear because of his fibroma on his leg. And then we had Quentin last week who has the fibroma on it wraps around his eye through his spine too, top of his neck. So there, and I have an optic glioma. None of you guys have mentioned that, so it's crazy how
Yeah.
different this is. It's all the same disease, but it just impacts us all in
Yeah.
completely different ways, and it blows my mind.
I know it's something that's I think is still being understood even by the scientists of just
Yeah.
how varying and the ways it affects each individual.
Yeah, I mean, they renamed NF type 2 a couple of years ago, and to NF type 2 schwannomatosis, right?
Right.
Just being NF type 2, and then people argue even if NF type 2 and NF type 1 are the same thing, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but just keep on pounding through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the phrase I've used a lot is adapt, adjust, and move forward.
Yeah,
It's
that's
kind of three things. So
I like that. Good advice. I
yeah.
appreciate that, Aaron. I think, but you did bring up about a good misconception about people's illnesses, right? Being contagious, right? And from time to time, I even find myself acting in like blind spots at work, and just from stuff, and it just kind of like happens that you slips in sometimes, and you just kind of got to remember and to think, I guess, more broadly. But you were able to beat a lot of that stuff, right? With you said you had some learning disabilities. You got your master's in science, right, for athletic and training, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and dedication, and you were able to get through that with a little help from your friends, your teachers, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
The government. Yeah. So
Everything in between.
Yeah. And I don't know if you got the chance to see the video last week, but I spoke to Quentin, and he's graduating from high school. So I guess, do you have any tips for people like him who are either preparing to enter the workforce or going on to plan or thinking about going to college?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I say is it's okay to not know what you want to do when you get into college, and it's okay for it to change. I give myself as an example. I changed my major 3 times in my undergrad.
Really?
Yeah, and then found something that worked best for me. And, there's also times where you could feel like you're doing everything right and still maybe the grades aren't there, or things aren't there, and that's okay too. The other example I can give is that I changed grad schools too. I was at a grad school that I don't think had a good understanding of helping students with learning differences. And I was at a point where they basically were saying, like, I don't think you can be successful in athletic training profession. And I then took a step. I left that program completely because I was like, if I don't have the support here, maybe we just need to find somewhere else. So I think that, college is just a huge learning experience in general. And I think that you find your footing, and that you just seek out help and don't be afraid to ask for help. That's the biggest thing too. Even I struggled with at times where you wanted to try to do everything on your own and, really succeed. But, the assistances are there, right, for you to help you out. So don't be afraid to seek those.
No, yeah, asking questions is actually a good thing. I have to remember that every single day
I know.
at work too. Still, as an adult.
Yeah, at work myself too. Still.
More like a lot of times it's like I don't want to bother somebody, but like
Exactly.
in all honesty, you're not really when it comes down to it. So
yeah, it's something that I remind myself that same exact thing. It's like you remember, they're there. We're all there to learn from each other and kind of collaborate and get jobs done. So
Oh yeah, we all have the same goal. So
yeah,
yeah, that's crazy. So you changed your major 3 times.
yeah,
So
yeah,
what, I guess so what did you start with, and then what made you pursue athletic training?
yeah. So I knew I was wanting to do something within sports, since I was young, and I got a student job working in the athletic training room and with the sports teams at my undergrad. And I just fell in love with that fast-paced environment and getting to help people get better, and getting to see the injuries right from when they started to then the progression to getting them back on their field. And so my major was biology at first, and then I took up a minor in sports exercise, switched my major to communications with that minor still, and then ended up finally settling on a general studies of communications and biology with that minor. So that way I kind of like avoided certain classes that maybe I didn't really want to take.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
it seemed to it worked out in the end for you. So
yeah, no,
yeah,
it did.
especially because you went wrapped around and got your master's, and you were able to use criticism to keep that self confidence going too. So
Yeah,
that's really great to see that you were able to do that and not just let one person's voice stop you. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I guess liked because you experienced like with your leg discrepancy growing up and just like wanting to help others like through their injuries and stuff. Do you think that impacted your pursuit to choose I guess to for your degree?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And because I also went through sports injuries too and different things, but I think seeing that recovery side and getting to learn about the human body and how it works really fascinated me. And I think again, kind of going through my own medical issues and getting to be an advocate and kind of help individuals. I think it all kind of meshed together into kind of creating the profession that I wanted to get into, or at least the field, right, as a whole of the helping profession.
Yeah, I think that's a huge upbringing to take on like all that. It's
Yeah,
I kind of went the opposite route though. I was
yeah.
like I don't like any of this stuff there, but
Which
maybe
is
it's just
okay
because
too, right?
yeah, no,
Like,
yeah, I just wanted to get away from it, and maybe looking back on that now, maybe I don't know if I did the right thing or if I did the wrong thing. I'm happy where I'm at, so either
well,
way, yeah, that's
yeah.
how I'm just gonna look at it. Yeah,
End of the
but no,
day, end of the day, that's the most important thing, right? If you're
yeah.
happy and good with where you're at, that's what matters most. I think for going for all of us.
I think I'm just like kind of like when like parents when I see someone like get attacked by like a serious illness and they still choose on to go advocate in that one field despite it. It just warms my heart a little bit. So
Mm,
no, yeah, I just like seeing like you do that. Like Bree always talks about like CTF when she does her beauty pageant stuff. So I
yeah,
always thought that was like super cool. And then we had a couple of people go on that did be like doctors that were in here and stuff too. So NF it can be pretty polarizing. I myself have had several like spinal reconstruction surgeries and stuff, but like you ran into a moment where you had to make a huge life decision, right? Which
yeah.
resulted in your career shift. So do you mind sharing with our listeners with what happened and just, like your process of like what you took to go through to ultimately like make the decision that you did?
Sure. So it's crazy that it's coming up on 4 years that I went through an amputation of part of my left leg. And it kind of, so I had plexiform neurofibromas, especially down in my lower leg and ankle area that continue to grow. So the shoe on that side was already the bigger, longer leg. And it got to a point where I almost couldn't fit into a shoe. Like I had a specialist that was splitting it open and like widening it so my foot could fit in. Um,
Wow.
and so I should also admit, like on that side from, I mentioned the scoliosis. So I had
Yeah.
that was discovered. So I had spinal fusion surgery, 21, and it was pinching a nerve. So I lost the function of the left leg. So had a AFO orthotic brace that I wore, and also had like no sensation down there. So there was like a lot of accumulating factors on that left leg. And for the most part, like it also still didn't totally affect me. I was able to, like we talked about, do my master degree and work in the athletic training field for a number of years. And again, kind of adapted, adjusted, and found ways to still do things. But then it got to a discussion point where amputation started getting talked about as a possibility of needing to consider. For a number of years, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I was like, but I can still do things, and so it was kind of just feeling like I wasn't ready for it. And so then let's go to maybe like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. Like the leg really started feeling a lot heavier, even with the brace and everything on. And then I also started getting ulcers in the bottom of the foot that weren't healing well.
With the plexiform, those would.
And so on that side, and so then I was really limited in movement. I ended up being on disability for a number of years, so then wasn't working. And it got to a point, I think, where I was in the ER for like the third time getting IV antibiotics. And I'm just like, this is not the quality of life I want. That was when I was like 35. And so it was at that point I was like, my quality of life is going to improve with an amputation. And it got to at that point where I was actually like very comfortable with the idea of an amputation, as weird as it sounds. Like I kind of talk about it as like it was an elective point to do it then. I think that of the way things were going, it eventually was going to happen where it would have been out of my control. And so I decided to kind of do it in a moment where overall I was healthy and young and could recover well. I also had the support of my parents. Like I don't want to leave that part out at all. Like that I could be back living with them and really focus on recovery and everything. So I did an amputation, and that also led to like you mentioned, a career change. And so I'm now working in orthotics and prosthetics, which I have loved more than I thought I would.
And again, going back to, like I was saying earlier, that you went back into doing the exact same thing, giving back to like what took you down, right? Or not took you down, tried to take you down. You just go on, move on. And so, like, I know that you helped out a couple of people earlier in this week. Did you by chance make your orthotics or update them at all?
So I'm working with the prosthetist in our office now of like making a new socket for my leg for the prosthetic. I didn't really do any of the foot orthotics yet for myself, but we do that, and I fit people for all different kind of braces. So I fit people for AFOs or, a lot of off the shelf or semi-custom bracing. So back braces and everything like that.
That's pretty cool. Any of the athletic stuff like we see with the Paralympic stuff? Do you do any of those types of braces?
I haven't. I know that some of our other clinics in the country do them, but we haven't in our office specifically.
That'd be pretty rad if you get.
I know, yeah.
I mean, but it sounds like the transition for you though was overall mentally. I think if you look back at what you were talking about like 5 years ago, it sounds like that kind of like helped you out mentally. I would say overall, just improving your quality of life, because you said that you were kind of just like stuck on like unemployment or disabilities rather, right? Doing all that, and so you weren't able to be able to like really get out and do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I say literally and figuratively, after the amputation, a weight was lifted off of me.
Literally.
The surgeon even said, like, that was a really heavy leg. And it ended up being like about 12 pounds that was on the leg. That's
crazy, 12 pounds?
Yeah. So I think that, it definitely gave me a sense of purpose again, of being able to find work to do. And again, I think just put me in a much better place, spirit wise overall.
Yeah, it's crazy how the surgeries can be able to do that for you. You wouldn't think that. It's definitely
Right.
nerve wracking going in, but
Yeah. Because I still want to say it's like you did lose a part of you, right? A part of,
yeah,
even though it was not a, functional, you know, limb at that point, at the point where
yeah,
I was at, there's still like, there still is the loss of something, but I think
yeah.
it was easier to, again, wrap my head around and understand what could lead after the amputation.
Was the tumor then as well, or was
More
it just
just like
the
bone.
NF?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just the
NF
NF.
bone,
Yeah.
bone deformity
Yep.
stuff. Okay, that's I guess a little bit good. Who knows?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but so I mean, it's nice to see that you have a good, strong foundation with NF from the professional standpoint, the health, all that stuff. I think you can definitely teach me a lot there. So, I guess what excites you the most about for like NF research that's going on right now?
Yeah, I think that we're starting to finally see different medications for NF and tumor shrinkage, and they're out there. That really excites me. I would really be excited if maybe there starts to be something for the cutaneous skin ones too.
Yeah, I think
But
that would change a lot of people's overall quality of life.
I do too, yeah. But I
Yeah,
just think the fact that there's starting to be options now, right? Like
yeah,
when there used to just be one medication, if somebody had really bad side effects or reactions to it, like there wasn't anything else.
yeah,
And so now starting to see that there's more that's becoming available and more research that's being done. There's hope in options.
yeah.
Is kind of what I see is.
No, it's super cool because like I know like you go back. I did the neuroblastoma with the then Christine, right? Or is that what it was? Back in like the 2000s. And that was for the optic glioma, but that wasn't anybody who had an optic glioma would take that, and it would go for that, but it wasn't for like NF. But
Right.
now like last week we met Jesse, not Jesse, that was Quentin. I'm sorry. Quentin was on the Solumentinib, which is got approved by the FDA, right? He's one
Yeah.
of the first people on it. It sounds like he said he was on it for like 13 years now.
Okay.
So yeah, so like that's crazy. And I want to say he said 40% shrinkage is what he
Oh,
said. So
that's
that's
great.
awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So and that's crazy. So he keeps that. It sounds like you said, some of the side effects can be pretty harmful from these drugs, and he
Hmm.
said his body's handling it great.
No,
So
that's so
yeah,
good to hear.
no, it's super cool.
Yeah.
And so we'll shift gears a little bit, and we can get to know you a little bit
Yeah.
outside of all the NF. Go back to kind of like how we started the conversation, right? You're said you're big into sports and a
Yeah.
big foodie. So if you ever been to Lambeau Field before?
I have. I'm lucky
Nice.
that I have. Yeah.
That's pretty
Uh,
sweet, and it's definitely one of the should be like on almost like every sports fan's bucket
oh,
list. Yeah,
100%.
yeah. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Just to go to that place
Pictures.
and just experience the, tailgating and everything. Yeah.
When did you go for a snow game though?
So no, I've gone 3 different times actually.
Yeah,
Seasons. I feel like I went for a exhibition game, so was there early when it was still muggy and hot in like
yeah.
September, and in the fall. And I did go to a December game, but there was no snow. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, but it was still cold. So
yeah.
nice. Yeah. Cool. I'm from South. I live in South Carolina, so my idea of cold is like 64 degrees. Actually, you're in California, so you get it. Yeah,
I get it. Yeah. San
you get
Francisco,
it.
it's a little different, but
Yeah.
we're like no seasons, same weather year round.
Cool. So what was your favorite snack and drink to get when you go there?
I mean, I'm pretty simple of get a brat with like sauerkraut, pepper, Dijon, mustard, and then a beer, and I'm a happy camper.
Mm. You so no ketchup then?
No, I'm not a big ketchup guy. You know,
Good.
I
Glad to hear it.
I
Glad to
like
hear it.
the spice. I like spicy food. So
Yeah. Like, do you ever do the like the Carolina Reaper stuff, the
Oh yeah, yeah.
all
I've
that stuff. Yeah.
done that, or the ghost pepper. Sometimes the ghost pepper things too.
I, uh, I went to Dave's Hot Chicken last night with a buddy, and
Oh,
I thought
nice.
about getting the Carolina Reaper one, but because I'm taking the mech right now,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to like take it and then be like, I have an upset stomach and have to take it. So I think I might go back next week when I'm off, and then just like get it then. That way I can have an upset stomach.
Yeah. Without
Yeah, and
without the yeah. Are you
yeah, without
spicy?
having a,
Are you a spicy
uh,
food person? Or
no, I just don't want to be a wuss.
you're fine.
I told another one of my friends that I can handle it, and I need to prove to myself that I wasn't lying now.
Okay.
So,
I believe in you.
thank you.
I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So is your relationship with food one way, or are you a cooking man?
No, I love to cook too. I feel like I've learned a thing or two from my Italian mom, so,
No. Can you
but
make
yeah,
homemade spaghetti?
I'm not that good.
Okay.
I can make a good pasta dish, but I have not made the homemade pasta yet.
So that will not be in the junior board cookbook that's coming up out soon. Then I
Well,
guess.
at least maybe not the homemade pasta, but there might be. I might throw in a pasta recipe.
Yeah.
That
What's your favorite kind of pasta?
I mean, that's eh, So now you're getting me thinking like,
Or yeah, like shell. I guess like or pasta shell. It doesn't need to be a dish.
yeah,
I know. I guess you can go with that one. What kind of like pasta shell do you like style? It's easier to answer.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm kind of like spaghetti or tortellini are kind of the two that I lean towards the most of styles of pasta. So either like spaghetti style or then the tortellini, the thicker tube.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
those are fun because I just like because I get to play with my food and I
yeah.
just cook them through the holes like they're like a I guess like what is it macaroni and cheese
Oh
when you
yeah.
were a kid. Yeah, that's what I
So
like.
yeah, those are kind of the two. But you're right. I need to get thinking on a recipe for that recipe book that we're going to be doing.
Nice. Yeah, I was trying to think. I was probably gonna try to do one for like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. So
Oh,
like
okay.
dessert snack that would do cover the four things, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you a
so,
big foodie or cook yourself?
yeah, yeah. So actually, that's what I went to school for hospitality, and I did a lot of cooking classes
Oh
because
wow.
I learned, or like one of the things that they like try to like, or I guess that I learned there they taught, whatever you want to say, was it like the food operations are like the most important thing, like at like country clubs, bars, however those run, and
Yeah.
hotels and things like that. So I figured if I could understand a better understanding of like how to keep a good like food management and all that stuff, that's what I would try to go for. And I
Okay.
figured if I was like actually in the mess, in the thick of it, right, the weeds,
Yeah.
and I would have a good understanding and be able to handle a lot of that, and just have because like a lot of the I thought the business stuff that I learned kind of came natural to me, but
Oh,
like
okay.
some of the cooking stuff did not. So I just did a lot of those, really enjoyed it. But then my last surgery is mobility became difficult, and so
Mm.
I also made a career shift.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I did the same thing you did. Had to figure out what I was going to do a little bit differently because it's hard for me to get around. I went from having like no cane to walking now with a cane. So
Oh my
lost a little bit of
goodness.
mobility in my right ankle
Yeah.
too. So and I was bad about doing PT. So if you're listening to this, and Aaron gave advice earlier, this Aaron's going to tell you to make sure you do your PT when your doctor tells you to do it because it is a very good idea.
Oh, so you're one of like the non-compliant people that I joked about with athletic training people. Like because there was always the athletes that were non-compliant.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. That you said that, and it cut deep.
Yeah, but I'll second that. It's always good. Turn your therapy sessions into games. That's the best thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I guess one other thing too, you mentioned you said you like photography, or do you process your own film like that kind of photography, or do you do digital stuff?
So I mean, I grew up with. I actually was like you. I had a high school photography class and learned about developing on film. We had a
Yeah,
small dark room in our high school. We turned like
I thought
there
that
was
was
this.
so cool.
Yeah, and then did that in college too. So I was like old school black and white film, developing, and doing pictures. And now, like, I still try to do a little film every now and then, but I think,
Yeah.
our phones now are so good with like cameras and everything. And I have these different attachments I can put onto the camera phone and like get a macro or micro
Cool.
picture.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah, they do have a lot of
So I've really just been using my phone now as,
in an iPhone then.
yeah, iPhone.
Yeah. I saw a while back they had, I can't remember who's doing it. They did it. Wasn't there a movie that won some awards, like, and it was all filmed on an iPhone a couple
Oh
years
yeah,
ago? I can probably Google it, right?
you should be able to. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that was, but I do know what you're talking about. There was one that was like filmed all digitally, and
Oh, people are gonna see how bad I'm at spelling.
I'm right there with you. Spell check is an amazing tool.
Yeah. So it's called Lexi. It came out in 2019, I guess, or is it about? Or what movie did they film only on an iPhone? Looks like there might have been a couple of them. I don't think that first one I was telling you about is correct.
Oh, okay.
Comedy. Okay, Jexy is a comedy about a man addicted to his phone,
Yeah.
not about iPhone. Let me a little bit better. Google search movie shot on an iPhone. I feel like there is one that came out. Several acclaimed feature-length films and shorts have been shot entirely or primarily on iPhones, including Steven Soderbergh's Unsane and High Flying Bird 2019. Unsane came out in 2018, and Sean Baker's Tangerine 2015. Maybe either way. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Something. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm big kind of landscape, architecture, photography stuff. So
That's cool. It's pretty cool what you can do with an iPhone
yeah,
nowadays.
I know.
It's insane. I think Steve Jobs would be proud.
Yeah.
I know Tim Cook just retired. People might want to hate on him, but like people still buying their phones. And
Yeah.
People are still buying their stock. So, did he do bad? I don't think so.
He did something right.
He did something
People,
right. Yeah.
yeah, people can bash on it and make jokes about it all the time. But it still sells. So
Yeah. It'd be pretty cool to have a product like that. But good for them. And then Apple's a pretty cool company. I think all in all. Cool. Dude, well, Aaron, it's I don't want to keep you too late on this Saturday night. So to keep you busy for about an hour, and we're getting close to that point of that day and that time. So before we go, do you have any final words or thoughts before we part ways?
I just want to say thank you for having me on. It was great getting to talk to you kind of in more detail. I know that we're still kind of, as I'm new to the junior board, learning and getting to know each other. So this was a great opportunity for that. And, I would just say to the NF community, we're all here for you in ways to help support you. And you can always reach out to us and just keep moving forward and doing the things that make you happy.
Thank you again, man. It's a pleasure. Like you said, I've been looking forward to getting to know you better over these next couple of months and all that stuff, and working alongside you.
Yeah.
NF is often discussed in terms of science and diagnosis, but conversations like this remind us every day behind every condition is a person navigating change, identity, and uncertainty. Aaron, thank you again for your time and sharing your perspective. I look forward to watching maybe an Amazon party with you live stream this year if the Bears play the Packers. We'll look into how those legalities behind that, but it'd be fun to do a little watch party. Maybe we can get the junior board together and do a donation deal and all that stuff.
I love that idea.
Every touchdown the Bears score over the Packers. So
or every sack the Packers get on Caleb Williams.
Oh, well, the point is to give coffee away. So, if you want to hear more about neurofibromatosis and their research, links below in the video. And again, thank you for your support. And if you want to support through me, you can buy some coffee through my website, and I'll link that below as well. Again, Aaron, thank you for coming through and hanging out, and you all for listening. I hope you all have a nice day. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much.
See.